Harris Show. I am your host, Veronica Lynn Harris, here with my co-pilot,
Gregory Lamont here.
Yes, and today we have a wonderful guest, Mr. Harold Bell, the original insider of sports. And he is going to be talking to us today about a variety of things. He is an athlete, a pioneer, a mentor, a historian, and a hero. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bell so he can tell us about himself.
I want to thank both you and Greg for having me here on your show. I'm a native Washingtonian. I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian. I didn't just get off the boat.
Okay.
I grew up out in Northeast Washington in a housing project called Parkside. And my foundation started in the church. My grandmother, my heroes were not black athletes. My heroes could not shoot a jump shot, hit a baseball out of the stadium, or throw a football 60 yards in the air. My heroes were black women, my grandmother and my mother. My dad was a deadbeat dad, was never around, so my grandmother raised us, really. I remember the early years where the foundation was laid. It was laid in the church. My great-grandfather, Alfred Tyler Johnson, Reverend Johnson, laid the first brick to build Mount Airy Baptist Church at North Calverton and L Street in 1893. My family settled here in Washington in the early 1800s. The Tyler House, 2 blocks north of the church, is named after my great uncle. The Tyler House is a facility for low-income residents. It's called the Tyler House because my uncle's name was the Reverend Earl Tyler. He took over from my great-grandfather at the church. We spend anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week in church. And that's, like I said, that's where the foundation was laid. And my heroes were my Aunt Sarah, Aunt June, Aunt Helen. They were like the posse. You know, they're like the exterminator, you know. They take no stuff, man. In Grandma Bell's house, there were 3 uncles, and she had 3 daughters, and they ran herd on us, man, you know. I remember that when I was playing ball out in the streets, because the neighborhood was real tight, you know, when that lights came on in the streets, you better be sitting on that porch, you know. You better be sitting on that porch. In fact, I remember one evening, I was up there playing football, and the lights came on. I was running out for a pass, and boy, as I'm looking at the pass, I see my grandmother coming up the street with this big switch. I ran right on by the ball. She beat me all the way to the bed. That's the kind of stuff, you know. They didn't take anything. We learned, man. I'm trying to figure out where we lost it, man. We had to be at the dining room table at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, whatever that time was. We better be there, sitting there, ready to eat our meals. And I remember my younger brother Earl came in late one evening, you know, and he sat down, and my Aunt Sarah, that's my Aunt Sarah, look, she's still about 6'3", and she said, "Boy, where you been?" And buddy, he mumbled something on his breath. Before he knew it, she had hit him with a backhand, knocked him all the way in the living room.
Wow.
When he got back up and came back in, he was clothed in his right mind. You know what I'm saying? But that was the kind of history and kind of discipline that we had coming up, man. You know, we respected our elders all day. Sunday was all day in church. Going to church on Sunday was like a revival, man. My aunts and my uncles, they were a part of the choir. My grandmother played the organ, you know, and man, it was, if you came 5 minutes late, you didn't have no seat in the church. I mean, you had to stand up around the wall. And then us youngsters, we had to get up for the seniors that came in. So I learned a lot from church, man. I met Marvin Gaye in church. Marvin Gaye's old man used to bring him down, and they would sing with the choir, you know. So growing up, man, with my grandma, man, was one of the best things. She laid the foundation. And when my mother finally got herself together and we were able to get a house in the projects in Northeast Washington, that's when me and my brother, it was 3 of us, because my dad made 3 of us, and my older brother, Bobby, was there first. So my grandmother told my mother, well, okay, I'm going to let you take Earl and Harold, but I'm going to keep Bobby. You know, that was her reward for raising us. My older brother grew up with my grandmother, so we went to the housing project. And it was a whole new different ball game once I got to Parkside. And we kind of ran wild because that discipline was not there anymore. And kind of strayed. And my mother ended up getting a nice place, working a job with the accounting office, and then she was the last hired, first fired. So we had to go on welfare, man. And my mom had to find a way to make ends meet, start selling chicken dinners on the weekend, uh, bootleg liquor, even had a number book. I seen the police kick my door down 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, raid my house, and take my mother out in handcuffs, man. So I came up a hard way. But my mother was a strong woman. She would always say on the way out, and we'd be sitting on the steps crying, me and Earl, and she'd say, I'll be back in time to get you guys to church. And she got back on that Sunday morning to make sure we got to church, man. And we went to church, even though we were away from my grandmother, but we went to church on Sundays, man. And I never forget, man, that's what laid the foundation that the great people, I learned about being in the community from my grandmother, how she would go out on Sundays and Wednesdays and visit the sick and shut in, or go over to the hospital to see them, and she would carry us with her. So that's where I learned about community involvement. And that's why I've been so involved in the community for the past 50 years, man. Working on U Street with youth gangs and at-risk children. I learned that from the foundation that my grandmother and my mother laid to reach back and help somebody else, because when you help other people, you help yourself.
That's true.
And that's what we got to
Amen
understand.
to that, as we want to say. Amen. Church, preach. Well, it definitely seems like you have had a colorful and very, I would say, how we want to characterize this, Gregory?
Colorful and eventful, yeah.
Yeah, colorful and eventful.
Upbringing.
And what?
Upbringing. So you say Parkside, that's Kenilworth Parkside?
Yeah, that's right, Kenilworth Parkside. That was, man, when we moved out there, they had dirt roads. It used to be a racetrack out there before we got out there. And we moved out there, and it was a dirt road, man. And, man, some great people came out of the housing project. Mayfair was right next door to us, was built by a guy by the name of, dang, I can't think of his name. But anyway, he was an architect. So over in Mayfair was like middle class. Right across the street, one street was across the street was the projects. On the other side were like middle class folks. And I remember, man, we didn't have television, but we could go across the street and watch wrestling on Thursday nights. The neighbors over there pull their windows up, and we'd be out there watching wrestling, man. You understand?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Every Thursday we had somebody in Mayfair that had a television where we could go and sit outside the window and watch television. Those days are gone. Those days are gone.
That's interesting. Watch wrestling. Not
wrestling,
wrestling. Not
wrestling.
Wrestling.
That's right.
Like wrestling,
Golden
wrestling.
Superman, Antonio Rocco.
Wow.
Man, come on. I know you guys are this government got Rock in there, man. Come on.
Nah, I don't know.
Real
I go
wrestling.
further back. I go, Superfly, Jimmy Snooker and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I go a little. I don't so much know The Rock. But anyway, yeah, very interesting childhood and everything like that. But we are going to talk definitely more about how you are considered like the godfather of sports talk radio down here in this area. And you say here that you have changed the way we talk about sports and look at athletes in America. So we definitely want to delve into why you feel that is so. And we definitely want to know about your uniform with the hat.
Right.
So we're definitely going to go to break now, and we're going to talk about that in our next segment. So we want you out here to stay with us, and we will be right back with more of the Veronica Harris Show.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Hi, and welcome back to the Veronica Harris Show. I'm here with my co-host,
Gregory Harris, yes.
and I'm here with the legendary Mr. Harold Bell, the original insider of Sports Talk Radio. And in the previous segment, we were talking about your very colorful upbringing. But now we want to definitely get into sports and the Sports Talk Radio. So you grew up, you were a legendary athlete in your own right. You went to Spingarn High School. I remember that high school well, trained on that track, ran a couple of track meets, very famous Spingarn relays there, you know, won a couple of races there. So yeah, I know that track very well.
My first meet was at Spin Gone, I remember
Why
well.
you got to
Yep.
jump in?
I mean, I was 6. I was later about that meet. Go ahead.
So anyway, but you are considered in this area the godfather of Sports Talk Radio. And you say they say that you have changed the way we talk about and look at athletes in America. Talk about sports and athletes and the way we look at athletes in America. Why is that?
Well, you know, growing up in Parkside, I never played boys club ball or anything. I learned how to play football and basketball right there on the streets at Parkside Recreation Center. And once I got the spin going, I was ready. You know, I was a little guy. I weighed about 150 pounds. But I was always kind of guy that I didn't take a back step from anyone. And I was able to hold my own. I didn't think I was going to make the football team my first year because I was so small. But I came out of a Parkside where one of my good friends was a guy by the name of Donald Wills, and he was a quarterback at Spingarn. His brother Maury Wills played for the L.A. Dodgers, one of the great base stealers of all time. And some great athletes came out of there. So he told me to come out for the football team. And I went out for the football team, and I was catching everything they threw at me, you know. But I was so small that, you know, I didn't think I was going to make the team. But I heard Coach Brown ask Wills one day, who's that little guy? And that's where I knew I had the team made. They talked about I was a great athlete. I was not a great athlete, but I was the kind of athlete that always wanted the ball in his hands when the game was on the line. That's what turned off my teammates and some of my coaches because they thought I was very selfish. No, I wanted the ball. I wanted to win. And it got me in a lot of trouble. I played football, basketball, and baseball. I got kicked off of almost all the teams. I was first string. I got kicked off the baseball team, a championship baseball team that we could have gone all the way if I stayed. I got kicked off the basketball team my senior year by Reverend Roundtree because I was selfish. And then I got locked in the bus at halftime of a game against Phelps in Spingarn because I got mad at my same quarterback. I was telling you about Donald Wills. He threw me a ball late just at the end of the half, and I was jumped off sides, and I came back and I gave him the blues. So when we got back to the bus at halftime, we go on the bus at halftime, right?
So they locked you in the bus?
Yeah, so Coach Brown said, Bell, what's the problem with you and Wills out there? I said, Coach, I didn't hear the signal. He said, look here, dummy. All you got to do, you're in. Look down the end of the line. You can see when the ball is snapped. So I said, yes, sir. So when they got off the bus, he said, you stay here, son.
Oh, wow.
We're going to win this one without you. And they won it 6-0 against Phelps. Donald Wills returned a punt 60-some yards. And when I got back, I had to apologize to the team. At first, I wasn't going to apologize. I was that kind of knucklehead. And one of my teammates beside me named Jelly Hansberry kicked me. He said, boy, you better get up there or you through.
Okay.
And I went up to the front of the bus and I apologized, and that saved my life. That coach, that same coach, looked out for me until he died. You know, I was like a son to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to talk more about like
Sports, inside sports.
And like what you know and how you have taken your knowledge and helped, you know, because you have a long list of people that have benefited from your knowledge. Right. I mean, like David Aldridge, Jim Brown from the NFL, James Brown at CBS, Dave Bing, Tim Baylor, Kevin Blackistone, whom I watch religiously. Adrian Branch, Adrian Dantley, Bobby Gar. I mean, the list goes. A lot of people. I mean, from the historically speaking, you know, John Thompson, who was the first black coach to win an NCAA championship. How have these people been able to benefit from you?
Well, number one, before their 15 minutes of fame, they came through Kids in Trouble in Inside Sports. Inside Sports, as you were saying earlier, how did it change the way people talk sports in America? When I went on the air in 1970, I came from Petey Green. I don't know if you guys know Petey Green.
Yes,
now.
I did. I once did his show.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes,
well,
I did.
Petey Green gave me 5 minutes on his Sunday show. After I had lost my job at the White House, I got caught up in Watergate, I mean, the president got caught up and
Wait,
I lost
you
my
got- hold
job.
on, I mean, you had a upbringing where the mother did bootlegging, bookmaking, then you get caught up in Watergate. It's almost like
Not really get caught up, but
I mean, you didn't get that, but it's
Yes.
almost like Forrest Gump. What didn't you get
Yeah,
caught? I mean, where
yeah.
were you not?
Yeah. Well, anyway, after I had lost my job
Notice he
with
says
the
anyway, and just kind of bypasses that over.
anyway, after I lost my job with the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports because of Watergate, Petey Green gave me 5 minutes on the air on Sundays on his talk show. So I started doing sports. Petey loves sports, and he made like he didn't like the Redskins. So he would have me on, and I'd be talking about the Redskins, and he'd say, "Oh, them bums ain't nothing." But he loved the Redskins. So I stayed there, hung in there, and one Sunday, Petey got teed off at me and said, "Get your own sports show. Get off there." And that's what I did. I went on and
So,
got my
like I
own
said,
sports talk
so
show,
that- okay, that's
Inside
history.
Sports. And I was sitting at the table with my wife for one night, and I said, "I got this new sports talk show at WOOK Radio. What should I call it?" And right away she said, "Inside Sports." I said, "Hattie, how did you come up with Inside Sports?" She said, "Well, you get all the inside information before anybody else. NBC or Washington Post, you get all," because I did. I had all the contact. And that's
Okay.
how Inside Sports came about.
So that leads us to our next question. How were you able to get the inside scoop?
Well, I got the inside scoop because, number one, unlike most media personalities, they don't become an expert on the black community until they get a column, until they become an anchor. You check their track records. They never did anything in the community. I came from the community. So a lot of folks would depend on me or what was going on in the community. And how I changed the format, sports talk format, because when I went on the air, was anyone talking outside the box. They weren't talking about racism in sports. They weren't talking about white agents stealing from black athletes. I was talking about all that, about the politicians who were a fraud in our communities. That was unheard of, to be talking about sports and politicians and community. That's how I turned the whole thing around. I played message music. I was out of Compton way before Out of Compton was Out of Compton.
Straight out of
I was
Compton.
straight out of Compton, straight out of Inside Sports, because I was doing message music like What's Going On. Okay, when Marvin Gaye, my homeboy, I was doing Wake Up Everybody, Black and Proud. You understand? Those were the kind of messages that I was sending out, to the community. We got to wake up, and we're still asleep.
Yeah.
You know,
we
I mean,
still
it's still
talking about the
asleep.
same-
Yeah,
the
same
same
thing.
issues.
I would write commentaries. I would have media roundtables. I had media roundtables before anybody else. Kevin Blackstone, James Brown, the whole Washington Post staff would come on Harold Bell's show.
So now I see what you mean about changing the way we talk sports and look at athletes in America today. Now, for all of our listeners or viewers out there, are you still doing this today? You still have your show?
I'm they ran me off the air. See, one thing about us, we want to hear the truth as long as it's about somebody else.
Okay.
Okay? And that's one thing Inside Sports brought. I came with the truth. I didn't have a cut card. Guys are mad at me today. John Thompson, Sugar Ray Leonard, James Brown, or whoever. But I told the truth, and I would go to them first. And if they didn't respond, I go to the airwaves. See? And that's what we don't have today. It's about control today. You're not controlled. These guys are not allowed to say what's on their mind. Michael Wilbon told me, say, in the press room at the Washington Wizards game, he said, "Harold, they want me to go on outside the lines and talk about the N-word." He said, "I'm not going on there, man." I said, "What?" I'm so proud of him. "Yeah, man, I'm not going on there because the guy who's hosting the show, he ain't got no horse in the race." Talking about the white guy who's the host, right? I said, "Mike, great, man." Well, the next Sunday, who do I see on outside the lines but Michael Wilbon talking about the N-word? So I said, "Hold it, man." So, but see, I knew right away what happened. That his boss had told him, "Say, you got to go on this show." He didn't have any other choice.
Right.
And that's the same way as it is with the most of these guys you see that host these shows. Probably the only one with an exception is Brian Gumbel. Brian Gumbel probably got his own thing.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation. And we could definitely go on and on and on. But we are definitely going to have you back, and we're going to get into more, shenanigans, as we like to say here. But right now we're going to have to cut it, and we're going to have to get into what is Veronica thinking. But we definitely have enjoyed you, and we're going to definitely have you back. So we will be right back.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Hi, and we're back here at the Veronica Harris Show. Now, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
The hat.
Yeah.
What's the story?
Well, like I said, I've spent 50 years working in the community with young folks. And right now, I'm the historian for Ben's Chili Bowl, which is right there on U Street Northwest.
Okay.
Yes, our president loves Ben's Chili Bowl.
So I have to travel from Suitland, which is the Census Bureau. I get the subway because I don't like to drive downtown a lot of times. So I had to take the subway. And to take the subway, the Green Line, from the Census Bureau to U Street is like going through a gauntlet. You understand? I mean, you got to go to Naylor Road. You got to go to Southern Avenue. You got to go to Anacostia.
Okay.
You understand? So you don't know who's coming on. And I sit where I'm facing the doors where I can see my left or right. And I put my hat on because these young boys are taking advantage of senior citizens. So when they see me with my hat on, they take a second look and keep on moving. You understand? Because they figure, you know, that brother, hold it, we don't want no problem out of him. And I don't want no problem out of them. And also, I am still out there with young folks. You understand? And the young folks come from all over the country, the world, come to Ben's Chili Bowl as tourists. And I have to tell them about U Street, and I have to tell them about Ben's Chili Bowl. And a lot of them relate. When I put my hat on back with them kids, I mean, they're on the one. They relate to me. And so that's why I wear my hat. My wife gets on me about my hat. Miss Ali gets on me about my hat. But I understand, hey, look, I'm out here with the real deal. You understand? I'm still in the community with young folks. But you know what? Man, you can learn a lot from young folks. These old folks think that these young kids, they know more than we do. We used to have to go to the library or take a telephone call and say, hey, what's going on? They go to their iPad. They can pull everything up there on their iPad. So they know more, really more than we do. And I don't underestimate them. But I let them know that your heroes ain't got no business being LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. Your heroes should be your parents and your teachers. I say, I know you look over and say, well, Mr. Bell, they old. They didn't get old by being stupid. You understand? That's the real deal. And that's how you got to come at these young people. You got to let them know, man, they are precious cargo. From what we see going on in our community today, I cannot believe it. I thought when I got at this stage of the game that it would be smooth sailing. Racism, man, we're going backwards. Not only are white folks selling us out, we got black folks selling us out. You understand? So you got to protect yourself from all ends. And that's one thing, you know, they see Harold Bell coming. They hurry up and get out of my way. Because I know the frauds out there. I've been watching them, man. And the peace of mind is not something that you can buy. And the only way that you can have peace of mind is to tell it like it is, man. You understand? I don't have to, when I see John Thomas and Michael Wilbon, I ain't got to think about what I said about them. I know what I said about them, and I will say it to their face. That's right. That is the key. They would say, hey, man, I don't like her, but why you don't like her? But I don't know. I just don't like him. You know? But that's the world that we live in. And I have accepted that. You know, I accepted the consequences, man, of not being financially strong. But you know what? I had an opportunity to become famous and rich. And you know what I decided to do? I decided to become famous and poor. My wife don't like that, but I decided because I decided I wanted to help people, man. And there are very few financial rewards and working with people, but the spiritual rewards are unlimited. And we get them every day. Everywhere we go, what mall, whatever subway we get on, somebody kid comes up and say, Mr. Bell, Miss Bell, thank you for helping me get in college, help me from getting that job. That's what life has got to be about. And you know, and it's a shame, man, that we're hustling backwards, man, because our children are the losers. It's got to be about the kids.
Well, Mr. Bell, sitting here listening to you. Well, first of all, the whole hat story, it speaks to me as an educator because you have to meet your students where they are. In order to reach them, you have to meet them where they are. And sitting here talking to you is like talking to a kindred spirit. So with that story about the hat, it's definitely going to be an impetus to have you back for another show where we can talk more about your community work, because we definitely want to hear more about that. And like I said, Gregory, it's like talking to another, a kindred spirit. Like
I like everything. I mean, how do you know where I'm at when you haven't been where I've been?
Well,
Understand where I'm coming from? Them lyrics right there.
There you go. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Bell, it has been great. And right now we are about to move into What is Veronica Thinking? And you have given me so much to think about today. And so in honor of you, today's What is Veronica Thinking is entitled Harold Bell.
I drink to that.
There you go. Today's Veronica Thinking is about Harold Bell and about giving it to you straight with no chaser. In life, you are going to have to face a lot of hard truths. And unfortunately, in life, too many of us don't want to face those hard truths. We don't want to do the hard work or the heavy lifting. We don't want to employ those critical thinking skills. Unfortunately, when we don't employ those critical thinking skills, we are able to be fooled. We are able to be told lies. We're able to be bamboozled, run amok, led astray. Misguided. And in 2016, that can't happen. Life is too short. The world is moving too fast. The world is too small. And just like Mr. Bell said, that kids nowadays can find anything on their iPads. Yes, they can. And they may know more than us, but do they understand? Can they comprehend? As an educator, I find that many cannot.
Well, like Harold Bell, and I don't know who said it, but Harold Bell reiterated it again. We have an obligation to tell the truth no matter who it offends.
Exactly.
That's your obligation to tell that truth. And Harold, I would love, Mr. Bell, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I like it.
I do programs in the summer with high school kids, and right now I'm working at a middle school. But if not the middle school, I definitely need you to come talk to my kids, with my program this summer.
Love to. No problem.
Thank you very much.
And so to end What is Veronica Thinking, we say it for Mr. Harold Bell, who gives it to you straight with no chaser. And that's what the Veronica Harris Show will always do. We will always give it to you straight with no chaser. Thank you for joining us.
Put a splash of cranberry in mine. Just a splash.
Thank you for joining us here on the Veronica Harris Show. I am your host, Veronica Lynn Harris, with my co-host.
We using our middle names now?
I do. With the mixologist.
Gregory Lamont Harris, then.
The mixologist.
Yeah.
And our wonderful guest, Mr. Harold Bell.
Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy it.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.